Welcome back to Kids Planning. I'm Allison. This is Daniel.
We're the Kids Planning parents, and today we're asking the question, can kids play Horrified? So our question when we saw this game, which is probably your question when you see this game, is how scary is it? It's called Horrified. It's about monsters. Is it too scary for kids? What's the theme like? That was when we saw it at our game store when they recommended it to us. That was the first thing that jumped out. We don't like scary stuff. Our kids don't like monsters.
We've never been thrill seekers or any of that.
Not into jump scares, none of that. So that was definitely a concern for us when we got this game. But thankfully, all of that in this game is pretty mild.
So basically in Horrified, you have the universal classic monsters. You've got your Wolfman, your Dracula, your, what else do we have
Frankenstein, Frankenstein's Bride.
The Creature from the Black Lagoon. You have those that have invaded the town, and you are heroes who are trying to rid the town of these monsters, scare them off, and also you're rescuing townsfolk. So that's basically the overview. You've got different steps that you need to do depending on the monster. But that's you team up together as all the players and you work together to get rid of the monster.
And as we were shooting this video, we're also in the process of creating a tutorial. Jared and Peyton are for this game. So by the time you watch this, it might be available. If it is, a little link will pop up above my head right now. And there's links to everything, including links to if you want to go buy this game. You can find all those links down below for the description and any other content around this game that we made, either on our website or blog or anything like that. So the first thing we want to hit on is theme and artwork, because that's the big question mark with this game as far as family goes, is the theme and the artwork.
And it's called Horrified, so is it horrifying?
Right. So we'll talk about artwork first. The box is pretty representative of the style of artwork in the actual game. In our opinion, it's pretty benign. But again, the reason we do this is we don't know your kids and how sensitive they are to stuff like that.
And our kids are very sensitive.
We have no issues with it, with them. Each monster has a monster mat that has some pictures on it and stuff. The Wolfman out of all of those is probably the scariest in my opinion, just as far as the artwork goes.
The boys think they gave us their kind of that one, and then maybe the Creature from the Black Lagoon's a little scary.
But here's a quick up close look at all of the monster mats, so you can see the artwork. Other than that, there's no real scary artwork on it. Some of the cards have a little picture, but none of it goes beyond what is on the monster mats. Yeah,
the miniatures they don't have any scary factors on them. They represent the color that kind of goes along with the monster that they...
It's only so detailed because they're
little. I mean, they're good minis for what they are. I appreciate the components of the game. So you got the map. It's obviously at night. So you've got this blue kind of haze of the night, and then you've got the gold yellow of the street lights. And so you're trying to scurry around. I love the theme of this. So you're scurrying around trying to avoid the monsters and rescue the townsfolk while you're scooting away around the map to try to avoid, but then also trap the monsters and whatever, depending on the monster that it is. The theme really plays well with the gameplay. I really appreciate that.
Now, as far as the monster theme itself goes and the being attacked and all that, the theme itself, even in the rules, all of that, there's no killing. No one dies. Even in the rule book, you are defeating the monsters. The monsters attack you, and if they defeat you, you don't die. You go to the hospital where you start your next round.
Yeah. So say you're up here, and the monster goes here, and you roll the dice, and they defeat you. Then you just move your marker down here. You don't even miss a turn.
Right, and
you just start your next turn down there.
And the attacking is you roll the dice. If this little symbol is shown, that's an attack. There's no description of the attacks. There's it's you roll it, the monster either attacks you or he doesn't. If they hit you, then they defeat you, you go to the hospital. That is, beyond that, there's some flavor text in the rule book that talks about it, but throughout the gameplay, there's not anything that goes into like scary stories, themes like that.
Now, as far as language dependent, it does require reading, but in this cooperative game, all the information is on the table and everyone knows what's going on. You can talk about different cards together and stuff like that. So there's no you have to be able to read in order to hide your secret cards and know what you're going to do. it's all open. So there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to being able to read. You can help your child read the card that they have picked up in their turn. It makes that relatively easy, so you can have younger players that are still learning to read, play, and feel like they have a big hand in the game.
Right. So the monster mats they have instructions on how you defeat the monsters. It's all pretty simple text. There's no like in-depth, there's no riddles. There's no in-depth long text. Cool. Yeah, but you do have to be able to read and comprehend what the instructions are. So in a space with a coffin, use red tokens adding 6 or more to place the smash coffin on the matching spot below.
You read that upside down. Yes. I'm impressed.
So you do have to be able to read the instructions and comprehend. But again, everyone can see this. When you get your perk cards, everyone can see those. You place them face up in front of you. When you turn over the monster cards, you're turning them over for the table. Everything that needs to be read in this game is public knowledge. Yep. So we still use this. We've talked about it in other videos that we use these as opportunities to kind of encourage Peyton to read, even though he doesn't necessarily want to. So so we still a lot of times implement that rule of, hey, you drew a perk card, what's it say? And no one can read it to him. He has to read it to us. He's motivated to play games, so that works well. It's not discouraging for him to have to do that because he wants to play the game and he wants to win. So again, reading and language dependence, it is there, it is required, but it's all public information. So there's plenty of opportunities to help them along. As far as memory goes, there's none. You don't have to remember anything that's happened. No information gets turned secret after a turn. You don't have to remember what you... Keep knocking this guy over. We're going to move to the tower. You don't have to remember anything that you did a few turns ago. So none of that. There's no stored information that you have to carry with you throughout the game.
Now, when it comes to math, it's very basic math. So the little tools that you have here, they have numbers on them, and you may need to add up 3 plus 2 because I need a 5 count to go and add this to Dracula or whatnot.
Right. So to defeat Dracula, to smash one of his coffins, I have to use red tokens adding up to 6 or more. So I could either use these 2 3s or I could come get this 6 over here. But beyond that, that is the extent of the math involved, is just
very basic
adding up token values.
Yep.
As far as the strategy goes, it's medium. For a younger kid, you might even consider it complex. It's not a just roll and do. You have to think a few moves ahead. So to defeat Dracula, I have to use red tokens. I have to be in a space with a coffin, which would be right there or right there. So if I'm down here, I may have to think, okay, I need to go get this red token and get this red token and make my way up to the cave. But then
there's also other people involved that are doing the same thing.
Right.
So as the rounds go, it's very like we're involved in each other's turns. So that strategy of communicating and talking together to build up a team strategy to defeat these monsters as each turn goes.
Right. You can share tokens. So I may say, okay, I'm over here, Allison's up here. Why don't you get the pistol and meet me over here with it? And then we could, so there is opportunity to create a cohesive strategy. But yet it's not a straightforward, if you just compartmentalize and focus on your single turn, it's going to be really hard to win. You probably won't win.
Yeah.
But it does.
You need the team aspect.
But it's not a super complex strategy other than you need to be thinking a few steps ahead. So it's a really good game to create that kind of thinking process of, I'm going to do this, and then next I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
We take the opportunity to kind of ask Peyton, hey, what are you going to do on your turn? And he'll tell us. And Peyton is really surprisingly good at coming up with strategies, but it creates opportunities to suggest, okay, so you want to do that. Well, I have this piece. What if I bring you this piece on my turn, and then you're going to get those, and then we can. So it really creates that opportunity, which also goes into the downtime. There is very little downtime in this game. There is
because of how you're working together.
Because everyone can. The monsters attack each turn, or they might attack. They may attack each turn, depending on which monster card you draw. So just because it's not my turn, I may still have a monster coming to get me. and might get attacked, I might move to the hospital. But also, you can share resources
and perk
across
cards
turns.
and
I can,
things like that.
Even if it's Allison's turn, she can come and get things from me, obviously, if I'm willing to share them. But she can come to my space and I can share items on her turn. So there's lots of opportunities. And again, thinking multiple turns ahead, you have to look at where everyone is and think, okay, you're down there, I'm up here, we both need to get here, so let's do this and meet in the middle. So there is a lot of opportunity to talk through strategy and to reduce the pure downtime for players because everyone's working together.
And then we can go into confrontation with that. There really is no confrontation. No one is like, other than just with the board, because you are confronting the board. You've got the monsters coming at you. You're running from the monster. You're assuming. The only thing that makes it maybe confrontational is because it is cooperative, and you sometimes will run into the, well, I want to do what I want to do. I don't like your strategy. So if you have kids that are a little bit more, keep knocking these over. If you have kids that are a little bit more protective of their own strategy, then you might run into that of just, well, we're working as a team.
Right.
That's the only thing I think that would be at all confrontational with this game.
Yeah, and like maybe I have a perk card that I want to use on my turn, but Allison thinks it would be good to use on her turn. There's some of that. There is off-the-board confrontation between players. There is no on-the-board confrontation between players. No one is attacking each other. No one is hurting each other. Right. Everyone is working together.
But that really happens with any cooperative game.
Yeah, with any cooperative game. And there's always the opportunity for someone to kind of
lead the way.
Yeah, to drive the game and to boss everyone around and tell them what to do. So, yeah, which is just another opportunity. It's another learning opportunity to say, hey, let's let everyone... With younger kids, it's really easy to say, hey, why don't you do this on your turn, and not give them the opportunity to strategize. So what we try to do is say, hey,
present options.
Yeah, what do you want? What are you planning on doing on your turn? And then kind of point out some things that they may have missed in just looking at the bigger picture. If they're just looking at these few spaces and not at what they can do.
Yeah, or even like, oh, this monster's over here. He has the opportunity to move this way. Just be prepared for that. Like that type of thing.
So as far as scoring goes, it's very straightforward. You either win or you lose. There's no victory points. There's no in-game scoring. There's two ways to lose. If every time the monsters attack somebody and successfully attack them, because there are ways to block attacks, that just goes into the strategy. But every time a monster successfully attacks either one of the heroes or one of the townspeople, the terror track marker moves up 1. If the terror track gets to this little skull right here, the game's over immediately. Also, if you go to draw a monster card and the monster deck is empty, you lose.
Yeah.
Which means that once you draw the last card, you do get one more turn, because it's when you go to draw a card and it's empty. It's not when it's empty.
Yeah.
So those are the two ways to lose. And to win, you defeat the monsters, which is very clear-cut how you defeat the monsters. So it is very straightforward, win or lose. It can turn on a dime. It
real fast.
We played this a couple nights ago, and we were one turn away from winning and just drew the wrong cards, and everything turned against us. So that is something to keep in mind if you have kids that just don't handle those surprises well, or if you as an adult don't handle those surprises well. That's something to consider. Is this game, there is an element of chance to it. There is an element of just...
That's what I like about this.
We really enjoy that. Our kids really enjoy that. But there is that element of sometimes the game can just randomly work against you and you have no control over it. And no matter how well you've strategized, you're still going to lose because of the draw or the roll of the dice.
Yeah. What I like about this is the boys have played this, have taken this out and played it just the 2-player, and they did 2 monsters. You can balance the complexity of the game by just doing 2, 3, or 4 Wait, you can do, how many monsters are there? 6?
I think the rule book says to do 4 is the hardest level that they say. You could technically do 6, but it would be just...
You would lose.
And if it's your first game and you just want to get a feel for how the mechanics work, you can play with 1. You're going to win, but you could play with 1. So
just
it's really...
to understand it.
Yeah, and certain monsters are harder than others, and again, the rules go into which monsters are
The rules are
difficult.
very comprehensive when it comes to just knowing, like, you don't have to read the entire rule book in order to start. But if it's like, okay, this card says this, I don't remember what that means. The rule book has it all lined out according to the monsters. It's very, very comprehensive.
And if something happens on a monster mat, like we got into...
Which one was
it? It was with the mummy the other night, where you have these little... There would be tokens on this, and one got turned upside down. And this doesn't say what to do if it gets turned upside down, but the mummy section in the rule book says very clearly, if they're upside down, you have to turn them back over.
In order you can move before you move on.
So it is, the rules are really helpful. If this is your first time playing, or if you're gonna play, if you get it and you play for the first time, I would recommend go through, it's very text heavy, but go through the setup, go through the turn order, and then stop before. Don't try and read up on every monster and understand how they all work, because that's just going to be too much information. It appears overwhelming, it appears like there's a lot going on, but really within 1 or 2 turns of the game you're gonna get it. There's a few different actions you can do on a turn. You can move, you can pick stuff up, you can bring someone over to your space that's next to you, things like that. You can share stuff. But there are all very straightforward options. So yeah, if you get this game and you start to play it, don't feel like you need to read the rule book front to back. Just set it up as it says. It goes step by step through the setup. It's really, really good with that. And then just start playing. Just look at, it's my turn. These are the actions I can do. Pick an action to do. Go move around. Go collect something. Don't feel like in your first turn you have to know 10 turns ahead what you're gonna do. Once you do it, it starts to make a lot of sense. And
then you kind of get one monster down, and then you'll add a different one in next time. And I mean, there are 6 of them, so you've got that. There's so much replayability with this. These poor people. There's so much replayability in this because you have different monsters you can put in there. All the monsters are different, have different ways to defeat them. They do different things, and then you have the different heroes you can be. You've got the different roles. You have different cards. There's just so much, diversity in the gameplay of this, and I love that in a game. It is a really great game, and if you're trying to get your kids into gaming, if you're trying to introduce your family to gaming, cooperative games are a really good way to do that, because if all you've played is classic games, the first time I heard Castle Panic was the first cooperative game that we played, and the idea of like everyone's playing against the board, like we're playing against the game, that makes no sense. But it's it's a foreign idea if you've only played like Boggle and Sorry and Monopoly that everyone teams up. But cooperative games are really fun. They're a really good way to introduce a new dynamic and to bring younger players into gaming because you can help them along. Yes. Now, not all cooperative games have fully public information. This one does, but there are, so this game is all public information. There are games that have hidden information, which maybe if you're looking for a cooperative game, that may be an important aspect to find out, is especially if you're playing with younger kids. It's all public knowledge. And reading is an issue. And for strategizing, public knowledge really helps guiding strategy without having to say, okay, let me look at your cards for you and do that. So all in all, we really enjoy this game. Honestly, you need to make the decision of whether this game is right for you, and hopefully this has helped you do that. And sometimes theme will put you off, and if the theme you don't want to, I mean, it does. I mean, the weapons, they aren't like used as far, like this is the pistol. We have a rifle, I think the pitchfork, a stake. The actual weapon is not used other than the fact that they put the description of it just to keep with the theme. You're not shooting anyone. You're not stabbing anyone. You're just using the 6. So. Right. So that's just the article that's on that, but the actual weapon doesn't get used per se. Right. But it is there, and we want you to know that, because if that's something that you just prefer not to have, then you need to know that. So we hope this video has been useful. We really want to arm you with information to make the best decisions and to find games that are a really good fit for your family. We totally understand that games are an investment. They're not cheap all the time, and we want to help you make the best investment possible and find games that are going to be a really good fit for your personalities, that are going to be replayable and just create a lot of fun, a lot of memories, and a lot of opportunities for you to just enjoy family time. And if you have any other suggestions of games you'd like us to break down and feature in our Can Kids Play, just leave us a comment below. Until next time, thanks for watching. And if you like this, please hit the subscribe button below so you can see all of our future content. Yep, watch a few of them over here. and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.